Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's Livestream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to Joshua Kemble's Art Stream, my live stream. This is episode 320. Today is going to be a pretty chill stream. Nothing spicy. Just going to get some work done before Artcasters tonight. Tonight at 8 p.m. we're having Gaz on to talk about kaiju, which I'm actually really excited about. That'll be on my channel, so if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed and you hit that bell so you get notifications before our thing with Gaz. Today, my goal is to work on the colors for page 81 of Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And just kind of chat, shoot the breeze, and kind of hang out and do art and see what comes up. So that's pretty much today's stream. Nothing too spicy. Last spicy stream, it was hilarious. I got some dislikes for the first time, not for the first time. But I can guess the political leanings of the people who disliked it. But yeah, so it's just going to be an art stream today. No politics, nothing super spicy, unless the spirit moves me. All right, so here we go. We've got our art stream page, so let's go to that. This is the page that we finished toning during the time that we on 309, where we reviewed the entire third Trump indictment as well as his entire Georgia phone call. One of the things referenced in there while working on it, and hey, it works pretty well to kind of keep me company while working on the art. So what we're going to do now is go through this and start coloring it and just shoot the breeze and see how you guys are doing. So I'm pretty excited about the progress on this page. I don't think this will take nearly as long to flat as the previous page that had that crazy crowd scene. For those of you who might not remember, I had this crazy sequence where it was a crowd scene where I had to draw over 100 people in a opera house from like the Victorian era in Italy. And so that was interesting. But yeah, I don't think this one's going to be nearly as complicated. Yeah, and then I think maybe for topics, maybe we can talk about not a spicy topic, but I think that at least I'd like to talk about a thing about my personality that might be a little unusual and kind of different from like other people in a weird way, where it's like for me, I have had friendships for a really long period of time where we are able to kind of like disagree pretty heatedly on different things, and yet keep that separate from like a disagreement about the fundamental goodness of a person. And I realized, I used to think that this was just something most people could do, where most people can like handle like having a slight disagreement or a big rift of a disagreement and yet still maintain like friendships with people and maintain, social relationships. Again, like maybe buy comics by those people. Um, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like the world is a better place when people are able to actually have pretty heated discussions and get into it. But I've realized that there's a slew of people that kind of want it one way but not the other. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, Meaning, I think that there are some people out there who want to be able to spew whatever they want to spew on whatever topic they want to do it on. And then if they receive like a tiny modicum of pushback, like the slightest bit of pushback for like an embedded idea that they're spewing all over the place, they they instantly are like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know I'd make you so angry. Oh, this is I didn't want to have a deep crazy political discussion." And yet it's weird because these same people will bring up politics. I'm thinking of one example where there's a person who, like, we've done like Artcaster streams, which are inherently not political. I kind of hold back on especially political takes and stuff on Artcasters. Scott, Corey, and I all have slightly different viewpoints. And yet, like, we managed to kind of do this show that's kind of an apolitical show. Like, it's not a political show unless the topic was political art. Um, and on my own stream, I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about. So if that's politics, cool. If it's like stupid movies, cool. I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about because it's my live stream. And people in general who are tuning into this hopefully are entertained by just getting a taste of like who I am and like what I think, and also have like some company while they work on art. But there's a person that I know that, like, they comment on Artcasters, and we'll have somebody on who's talking about. I'm trying to think of like the latest example of this. Well, you know what? I'm not going to give a specific example because then it's easier to kind of locate who this person is, and that's not the goal of this, to like call somebody out. But like we'll be talking about, say, like maybe the person on the interview will be like, "Man, I had a really tasty cup of coffee the other day," and and then they'll leave a comment that's like, "Well, that, like, what's your take on like refusing like somebody at a coffee shop, like based on your religious disagreements with them or something?" And I'm like, "Whoa, we weren't even talking about anything political. We were just like, the person was just saying like, hey, I like to go out for a cup of coffee." I'm using that as an example where it would be like a non-contentious statement that this person will just like jump on and be like, "Oh my gosh," like, and get instantly political. But the weird thing is, the same person, like if I have a stream where I actually say something political, they're like, "Whoa, how dare you get political? I'm out. I don't like listening to political streams." And it's like, but every comment you ever make on anything is like an innately, blatantly political decision. So it's like, I guess what I'm getting at is, there are some people out there who like say they don't want politics, and they say they avoid politics, but they're political all the time. And what they don't want is just pushback or somebody with a differing opinion. And like that to me is hilarious. It's kind of weird. It's like, I guarantee I have like a pretty high level of certainty that even the people who disliked episode 309 of this, probably buy like very right leaning material. In fact, I know for a fact that at least one of them is like way into like super political comics. And so again, it's like, but they'll make the same comments where it's like, "Whoa, you got to get political and everything in this." And it's like, yeah, it gets kind of old because it's like a cry bully. I don't know if that makes sense. Have you guys heard of the concept of like a cry bully? Where it's like somebody who like walks around bullying people, and then the second the person like punches back, they're like, "I'm getting beaten, I'm getting bullied," and you're like, "You're being a cry bully." Like, it's the same kind of thing where I feel like, look, you can. you can set a standard, right? And be like, oh, I don't listen to anything where people say anything political. And then I'll like respect it, right? But if you're like trying to kind of get me to not talk about my political viewpoint, and in the meantime, you're just spewing politics like constantly in comment sections and on videos that have nothing to do with politics, like you're literally importing them in wherever possible. Don't be surprised when people actually do streams where they actually say things that are political that you don't like. Like that's part of the world, right? And I think that like it's weird to me that we've gotten to a point, I feel like as people, where we can't have like disagreements or discussions anymore without people just being like instantly like triggered and like freaked out, or start making personal attacks. That happened yesterday, where I was just kind of stating an opinion and the person like made a claim that like of how I grew up. And I'm like, okay, like if you, I mean, I can go there, I can get like personal on a personal attack, but it's like, I was literally talking about positions. I wasn't saying anything about the human being behind it or their value or saying like, anything like that. But, it's one of those weird things of like, again, like people want to kind of dish out whatever they want to dish out. And then if they get pushback, they're just like instantly like, you know, like, basically like not able to handle the same thing they're dishing out consistently. And all I'm asking for is like slight consistency on it. Like, maybe this is like a slightly autistic part of my personality, but I feel like you should be consistent. Like if you don't want, you know, uh, oh my gosh, this is reminding me of, there was a place I worked a long time ago. I'm not going to name the place, but I had a coworker who would constantly complain whenever people would talk politics. This has actually happened in a workplace, and yet like if no one was talking politics, they'd like come up and start like peddling like conspiracy theories and political stuff that like no one asked for, no one asked to hear it. Start making like subtle political statements all the time. But the second anyone else expressed a political viewpoint, that same person was like, "Oh my gosh, oh this is so, we're so oppressed. Like people aren't supposed to talk about this at work." Well, you've been talking about it all the time, dude. You know, it's one of those things that just cracks me up. It's like the double standard where, and I feel like there's people who are really good at that, at setting like a total double standard and getting away with it. And it, whether it's whether it's to my benefit or not, it's really hard for me to see that kind of thing and not say something. um, I don't know if that makes sense. So anyhow, again, not getting too spicy, not trying to like get into any specific takes, but I feel like if you're gonna dish it out, you got to be prepared. Um, yeah, because like nobody likes that. Like, let's say you're playing a video game or something, and everybody's like, like when I was younger, I'm not much of a gamer, but like I had roommates and we'd play video games, and during the video game, there'd just be like crap talk. Like it was part of playing a video game. You just like each talk crap to each other, and then like, it was part of the competitive nature of playing a video game. And there were a couple people you knew couldn't handle it, so you just wouldn't, like if you played a video game with them, neither of you talked crap to each other because they just couldn't hang with like a little bit of razzing and back and forth. But this kind of thing that I'm describing, like I never experienced that when I did have roommates and played video games with them, like where they'd like crap talk, and then if you crap talk back, they're like, "Oh, how dare you say something bad?" That's the part that's really annoying, because it's like, no, you like, you set the tone, you set the conduct, and also, again, like, it's possible to actually do that and play a video game and still kind of stay cool with people. Like that's I don't know, maybe that's an unusual thing, but I tend to think, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's a random idea, but it's something that kind of came up. So I'm basically working on flat colors right now. I'm feeling good about them. Um, and I feel like, let's see here. What else was I going to talk about? I don't know. I feel like that topic's interesting to me because it's one of those things of like, um, yeah, just consistency. Like, right? Like, be consistent. Um, let's see here. So we have we're working on Robert right now. I just need to double check what his costume is like. There it is. Good. Okay. So the that's good to know. Okay. I'm seeing what I need to do here. Okay, we have the white of Robert's costume picked, so we're gonna pick this darker part. But anyhow, that's just a thing I think, and maybe I need to think about that more too. Like maybe there are areas where I'm not like super consistent. Um, and I try to be like cognizant of those things, but it is one of those things of like, man, I mean, um, if like every second that you talk, all you're doing is like doing political drops, and then you go, I don't like people being political. Well, then stop being political every conversation. It's so funny too because a lot of these people will call themselves like the silent majority, and I'm like, from my experience, they're not that silent actually, and they're not that subtle. They're like really overbearing and want to just dish it out everywhere. And the second somebody speaks up with a differing viewpoint, they're just like freaking out, and like, throwing tantrums and stuff. It's funny. But I don't know, that's just my experience with like the few people in my community that have really reacted poorly to these kind of things. Cause it's like, I think that's part of reacting poorly to it. It's like, oh, okay, I see. So you want free reign to kind of drop whatever weird political nonsense you want to. But, the second somebody else does, it's like, ooh, can't do that. Can't mix this. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like an unfair fight, basically, where it's like, hey, if you're going to run around throwing punches, like, don't be surprised when somebody punches back. You can't just like go around punching all the time and be like, oh, it's not fair that somebody punched back. Anyhow, so that's my take on it. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but that was an interesting observation that I made because I was trying to think like, why does it bug me that the hypocrisy in that? And then I realized like why. I was like, oh yeah, because it's like super inconsistent. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah. So anyhow, I feel like if you're going to be expressing opinions of any sort, you shouldn't be surprised if there's like opinions that are different. Let's see here. Like, let me put it this way. If I was hanging out with like, two atheists or something, and all I did every other second was like name drop my belief in God, right? And I'm sitting there for like hours just talking about how much God has done in my life and stuff like that. And then one of them comes back with like, well, I'm an atheist. I shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, let's not talk about religious perspectives or philosophical outlooks. Like, that's not fair. Like, come on. If I'm going to be expecting them to like listen to my life outlook, I should probably try to kind of do the same for them, right? Is this like a crazy concept? Am I like nuts here? Anyhow, it cracks me up. I don't know, but I will say on the plus side, like, I got way more views on yesterday's stream than I usually get on my chill streams. So I'll probably continue to do spicy streams, not for the views because I enjoy them, but the fact that like the views kind of align with it. And I'm a small channel, so I don't get a ton of views, um, but hey, if it's creating more interest for people, then and it's something I enjoyed doing, then I don't see why I wouldn't do it. However, I don't know if I have the steam to like do that every stream. I think I would I think I would get bored because again, like as much as I am a political being, I think we all are technically. I'm not that political. Like technically I'm just like kind of a cartoonist who likes drawing stuff. and then like that happens to be like a side project kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like something that affects my life that I think about a lot, but it's not like I'm constantly thinking about it. Like I have to work on a draft for a script tonight, and it's not like when I sit down to that script, I'm going to be like, let me see, and like twirl my mustache and be like, how can I fit my liberal agenda into this script now that I have this opportunity? Like that's not how it works. Like it's more like I'll kind of try to tell a good story, and then again I'll kind of react to crazies or people I perceive as crazy, and a lot of those people that I react to, like, on the stream yesterday, there's somebody in the chats who got kind of offended and left. And yet, like, I hear them talk politics all the freaking time on their own stream, all the time. Like almost every 5 sentences, there's something political in there or something like it, and again, that's the person who's like, no, I'm so offended that you blah blah blah. It's like, oh, come on, dude, you can't play that game. You can't play like you're offended when you're doing this all the freaking time. And I've noticed this multiple times. Paul Pate said, howdy, chief, how's it going, champ? How you doing there, Paul? I have a joke. I was talking about just calling people chief is I feel like one of the most passive aggressive things you can do. You're just like, hey there, chief. How's it going there, pal? Anyhow, I don't know. Not that it always is, but I think that's what Paul was referencing there. How are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? I'd love to hear what you're working on. I'm trying to do a chill, non-partisan stream today. I'm trying to just do chill, non-spicy. But yeah, so we're this is going to be an interesting thing. Oh, I thought I'd say this because in case Philip Chandler's watching or listening, I am making bread. I baked some bread, like I don't know, like maybe 4 days ago, because we have a bread maker that's just been sitting, and I kind of forgot it existed. Um, and I've always been meaning to like bake some bread. Oh, Paul said the one I don't like is Guy. I like that too. I mean, I don't like that too. Hey, Guy, how you doing there, Guy? Sure, Guy. Sure. Um, it's all kind of in the way that it's brought up too, because it's like when it's said almost like it's like a 4-letter word. It's like that's where it gets really contentious. But anyhow, so Philip, if you watch this after the fact, know that I am baking now my second loaf of bread because the first was good, but I feel like I didn't get it quite right. And Philip said, how coincidental. I just tuned in. It's not a coincidence, Philip. Look outside your window. That's me. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be strange? You look and it's me and there's like a green screen behind me that's faking the room that I'm in. You're like, I thought I heard like doubling on the vocals. I didn't realize that it was Josh just literally chilling right outside of my place. Paul said he's here. Anyhow. Oh, Philip said you'd be all wet. It's raining now. I know. That's why I have like above me, like I have noise cancellation here, and then above me there's like a an awning. I'm hiding under the awning right now. That's basically how I'm pulling it off. How are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? Paul, how's your comic coming? I'm actually really excited about Artcasters tonight, though. And I feel like I believe that Gaz is the ultimate person to have talk about kaiju, at least within our circle. So it's kind of a perfect topic to have Gaz on to discuss because if there's anyone I know who knows giant rad mechs and monsters, it's it's Gazbot for sure. So that should be a fun discussion. I think I had already gotten into it, but the last art casters, I had forgotten that we were switching to Sundays. So I literally just completely missed it. And it was on my own channel. So if you guys want to see that, that was last Sunday. And much to my great embarrassment, because I'm one of those people, like, I am all about schedules and routines, and when routines and schedules get thrown off, I become like this just very unreliable weirdo. Okay, so we're getting Elizabeth flatted right now. We'll just continue. Like right now, I'm just getting all the flat colors from the previous pages that apply to those characters. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying, you know what bugs me, what I was getting at that bugs me about that is the pearl clutching. I think that's the term for it. It's pearl clutching. You know, I think when somebody expresses concern or something, that's one thing, but when they're expressing concern and it's something they themselves engage in all the time, that to me is like that comes across as like pearl clutching, you know. It is a good premise for like comedy though. I think I've seen sketches like that, you know, where everybody's making like really inappropriate jokes, and then one guy makes an inappropriate joke, and everybody's like, "Oh, shocking!" it's it, it's a it is a good setup for comedy, I guess. So it's raining in Canada, huh? My meager understanding of Canada just has it like constantly snowing. That's all you guys have. That's all that's there. It's just snow and maple syrup. Like the streets are just lined with maple syrup. There's Canadian Mounties everywhere, you know, pouring maple syrup on the snow. That's my understanding of Canada. I guess by that logic, like the US would be a bunch of weird cowboys with guns just roaming around surfing. Like saying, "Hey dude," like a weird amalgam of Texas and California. Paul said rain in Michigan too. Paul, is it true that Michigan residents are called Michiganders? Is that a real thing? For those of you who don't know, Detroit is the Rock City. Ann Arbor is like hipster central. I think Arbor might give Portland a run for its money on like hipster to average citizen ratio. Tell me if I'm right, Paul. So I've always wondered if I'm a hipster because I don't think I'm a hipster, but then everybody I meet that I would consider a hipster usually says they hate hipsters and they're not a hipster. So that makes me curious. Like, am I blinded by my own biases? Am I too a hipster? And I just can't see it. I'm too close. Paul said yes, Michiganders. Nice. I feel like that should be like if I were to have a touring company, like a company that did like tourism in Michigan, I would call it Ganders at Michiganders. Gander over here at Michiganders. I'm here all night, guys, doing stand up. That's right. No, I'm not. I'm not a comedian, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just a cartoonist with dumb ideas, and that seems to piss off people sometimes. Oh man. So now I want to hear stories. Have you guys had experiences like that where like somebody's just dishing something out all the time and you kind of like are like, all right, we're doing that. Okay, here's my contribution. They're like, how dare you? It's like, I don't know, maybe you're hanging out with somebody who all they do is like make your mom jokes, and you're like, you know, you're like, man, I'm tired. Your mom's tired. Man, blah, 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 your mom. And then, like, finally, you're just like, you make it your mom joke, and they're like, how dare you? My mom died. And you're like, but you've been doing the, like, you know what I mean? Have you guys had experiences like that? Uh, oh, nice. Paul said, faux hipsters in Ann Arbor. You are authentically hip. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm not going to challenge that because it's not often that somebody calls you hip. I'm one of the cool hip kids. That makes me happy. Now I feel like I belong. My wife begs to differ with you. She's like, my guy is not hip. He's a nerd. That's right. Um Paul says, oh wait, Philip was saying, I find most people talk so much and so loud to ensure you never get a word in edgewise. I gave up on having discussions with most people. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like on my stream, I kind of don't mind. Like if I'm doing like a spicy stream or whatever, but I've kind of joined in with you on that, like in my personal life. Like I don't talk about that stuff very often with people I know disagree with me because I just, especially the ones I know, just can't hang, can't do it, and that becomes really clear. It's one of those things like there are some people you can have that discussion with. There's some people they make it pretty clear like they're not going to have that conversation. It's kind of like I don't know. Let's say I guess it's kind of weird, but it's like when you're a parent, right? Let's say your kid turns 13, and so you take them to like a PG-13 movie, and it just freaks them out, gives them nightmares or something. And you're like, okay, well, even though they're technically of age to like see this movie, maybe they're not ready for it, right? Everybody's a little different. I think it's that same way with that, where it's like, you can kind of test people and be like, oh, okay, they aren't ready for this discussion. But I have the opposite problem where I'll just take somebody at their face value. If they're dishing it, I just kind of assume, okay, you can talk about this stuff. But if you guys see like my past streams or whatever, I've had like literal streams where I'll like listen to somebody and hear them out for like 2 hours, 3 hours, just to like try to see their perspective, try to close the gap in the logic, just so I can at least try to see where they're coming from. Paul said it's cute that your wife laughs at your jokes. Not always. Because I'm doing dad jokes all the time. It's hard to laugh at those. There's definitely times where you're just like, ugh. And there's definitely jokes that are like not really designed for a laugh, but more for like, really, really. But in general, yeah. But my hope is to get some of these flats done, maybe stream for like an hour or two. and we'll see like how far we can get before the art casters. Philip said, "Snow is only 4 months of the year. Well, it used to. Now we're lucky if it's 2 months with all the global warming." And he said, "I hate going out in the rain. I like watching it, but never liked walking in it." Yeah, I thought I liked walking in the rain, and then I lived in Portland for a couple of years, and I was like, I hate rain. Like when you live in California, it's easy to be like, I love rain because it only happens, once in a blue moon, and when it does, it's like kind of refreshing. And I mean, traffic's a little annoying because nobody knows how to drive in the rain. But aside from that, it's kind of like refreshing, to have like a rainy day here or there. Um, so it's easy to get fooled to think, oh, I'd do great in a place that always rains. And then you live in a place that always rains and you start feeling the lack of sunlight and like the melanin in your skin just starts soaking out of it so that you turn into this like pale death horse and like and like get filled with depression because there's no like sun anywhere. Nobody's out doing anything because everybody's holed up in their house, putting their heads in like uh, light boxes that help them get the UV rays they need, which are literally really common in the Northwest. And then like once you experience that, you're like, yeah, maybe I'm not somebody who's only happy when it rains. Maybe that garbage song is nonsense. I feel like even with that, right, that song, I don't know, they must be Californian to have a song like that. Nobody who lives where it rains is happy when it rains. I know it's not a literal rain. My wife is like, that's not a literal rain. You realize? Yeah, Paul was saying sounds like a Tuesday in. Oh, Philip said I've always been overweight, so getting wet is just unflattering. Nice. Um, and then Paul said it sounds like a Tuesday in Michigan. The description. Yeah. But I mean, there was a charm to the seasons. Like, I'll give it that. Like, the seasons have a charm to them. And I think maybe if you grew up in it, I could see being like, feeling at home in that kind of weather. But when you've grown up in like California and SoCal in particular, and then you like get faced with this like cloudy lack of sunlight, it's just like it's hard to adapt because it's like, at most I'm used to like really hot weather and dry heat, but like not that. Yeah. So we're getting some progress here. We're gonna flat Bosco and then I think this will look good once we have that render layer over it. Yeah, I'm kind of digging it. And we'll kind of see where we can get. But I want to pull whatever Bosco stuff we can get to. So we got his glasses there, or his eyes. He's not wearing glasses. My brain was just like, oh, he's wearing glasses. Chill stream today, guys. Chill stream. One of the things about my personality too is I tend to like talking about all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about. That's the biggest issue with me is like, to me, the most fascinating stuff to discuss is like the stuff you're not supposed to bring up at a party. So I'm like, if I'm at a party, I like have to fight to not be like, what's your opinion on this? Like, what do you think about this philosophy? What do you think about this political take? um Either that or just like bore people by talking about comics all day. Yeah. Or I'll just be like, have you ever thought about having panels in sequence that slow and speed up time? What's your take on it? Actually, I think time would be a really good topic for artcasters. It's like methods, like how like I'd love to hear how people perceive and mess with time perception in comics, because that's something I think about a lot, like kind of the pacing and the timing. As I go through the script that we're going to be pitching, I'm going to have to kind of consider that too. Breaking down a script to a comic book script, and editing and kind of reducing it down to its fundamentals, taking anything that is sound and like trying to make that sound into something visual or textual. My wife pointed out that our dog's a little crazy. He's chilling outside when it's like over 100 degrees. That's something I will say. If right now is not like great weather where I live in California. Like usually California, it's like enviable where you could talk about, oh man, it really sucks that it's raining. But realize right now, if I walk outside, it feels like I've walked. It feels like I've walked into an oven. You know that scene from Total Recall at the end when he gets outside of the dome? Yeah, she was saying. Right now, man. Why is he out there? She was saying it's like that scene in Total Recall where he gets outside of the dome. That's kind of what it feels like when we step outside right now. It's like in the hundreds. The only person who has it worse for heat right now is probably people in certain parts of Texas or in Arizona. Maybe Nevada, but I feel like we have it pretty darn bad. But I think my buddies in Arizona might be able to contest it, because I think they're about like 5 to 10 degrees higher than we are. Right now, I'd guess they're probably about 5 degrees hotter than we are, which doesn't sound like much, but it's like the difference between like, are you baking bread or are you, just straight up like charbroiling a steak? Let's see here. Nice. Paul was saying he tries to explore different ways of portraying time in Detective Perez series, which you guys should check out. It's a good series. Let's see. So he has. Okay. He's going to have his bow tie is going to be the same color as his. Right now we're getting Bosco. We're kind of color filling him. A Victorian era magician who was rad as hell. Invented the cup and ball routine, which I hate to say, that's like lining up a your mom joke right there, Let's see here. What do we have? So we're going to keep going for a little bit, see how far we can get. Maybe we'll be able to flat the first panel. That would be good. What's everybody doing? It's Sunday. I'm curious what everybody's up to. Did you guys do anything fun for the weekend? This is going to be the shoe color, the jacket color. Okay, the jacket and vest color. Okay, so this is not the shoe color. This is the okay, got it. Cape. The cape. The cape. I think the pants are the same color as the cape too. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Don't quite remember what I picked for that. flat coloring is it can be kind of meditative, strangely, as you're doing it, because it's very repetitive and very like production kind of oriented type work. I think even for colorists, like people who do color for a living, it's like the flatting is the annoying part. The rendering is the fun part. But there is something about it that can be kind of fun too. Philip said he worked for Sunday. That's cool. I'm very excited. In about half an hour, I have that bread. It's going to be ready. I'll be able to see how it came out, see if I did a better job at it. I feel like there must have been something I missed the last time I did it. It didn't come out bad, but it was like really crumbly. And I feel like this might be a little bit better. But we bought this like artisanal like wheat, and so we'll see. Maybe that's why it's kind of crumbly. Yeah, Philip was saying I meant to ask how it came out, and it was just like really crumbly, but good. It tasted good. But it might be the type of flour because it's like really we got this like artisanal flour, and maybe next time we'll just go with like kind of more standard flour. Is there a flour that you recommend, Philip? For anybody who's wasn't tuned into that, like Philip and I have been talking about baking bread because Philip's really big into baking bread, and kind of because of his discussions about the bread, it just made me really want to make some bread too. And so yeah, so I made my first loaf with the bread maker last time, and it came out like it tasted good. It was just real crumbly. So
You know why, Josh? That made me think of the guy from Parks and Rec. Like imagine him and a dude man, like they're like bread buddies.
Oh yeah,
like they try to make it like really manly.
I could see that. My wife was saying, Philip, that you and I could be manly bread buddies. That sounds awesome.
You know, like the actor that has that really serious man face.
Yeah.
He's always trying to be manly.
She was saying kind of like the guy in Parks and Rec. Like she could see that guy. I think she's talking about Ron Swanson. She could see him having like a bread off with someone. Okay, Philip said I use all-purpose bread flour, but it turns out really soft. Okay, interesting. It was really tasty though, and I mean, I know homemade bread's always a little different, and it is always a little. It's not going to be like perfection, like but I feel like this second crack, at least I can get to the bottom of whether the flour was it or whether it was just that maybe I accidentally put in a little too much of one ingredient or a little too little. At least I can get to the bottom of that, because this time I was like very like hardcore about my portions that I was putting into that machine. All right, we have almost got the guy flatted. And we're making stuff happen. We're making this flat color come to life on this page. Very exciting times. So I had a funny moment today where I went to get the mail from our we have like those PO box style mailboxes, and as I'm walking to get the mail, I look on the street and there's a squirrel, just like middle of the road, middle of the street, just like mad dogging me and slowly watching me as I walk. And I instantly thought of like the soundtrack, that's like doo-doo-doo-doo, wah, wah, wah. Like I pictured this squirrel with that soundtrack, like, because when I looked out, it's like just this black asphalt, and he's just standing right in the middle of it, just glaring at me like he's ready for a showdown. At a brief moment of being like, I hope this squirrel doesn't have rabies, because if they do, I'm dead. It's kind of a strange experience. Because usually they aren't like that chill with people in my area. It's a desert too, so we don't have like tons of squirrels. But the squirrels that are here, usually they're kind of skittish. And this guy was like, he was not moving. He was mad dogging me the whole way. I was a little scared of that squirrel. Oh, nice. Okay, so Philip said when it comes out warm and you try to cut it, it kind of tears. So I went back to all purpose. Oh, okay, all purpose is a little more dense and bread flour is more soft. So that might be it. So that might be the problem, is like I've been using all purpose. And honestly, I mean, not all purpose, but bread flour. And honestly, if that ends up being the case, that's kind of cool, because the all purpose is like way cheaper. I'm really excited about it though. Like, I feel like I'm going to try a couple more loaves of white bread, and then after that, I might try to like make some like really cool stuff. You know, like start getting into like the banana breads and walnut bread and all that fun stuff. Philip said the all-purpose never came out crumbly though. Yeah, nice. I'll check it out. And by the way, crumbly sounds a little bit like crembly. And I feel like when I bake bread, it should come out crembly. Yeah. Crumble bread from the crumble. You know what I'm saying? I could even patent it. Sell loaves of crumble bread. It crumbles in your hand. Oh, nice. Philip said, LOL, meant to say, I'm all for being bread buddies. Just don't tell Frank we're supposed to be maple buddies. You know what? What happens when the worlds collide and you make maple bread? Then we won't even know like which buddy lays claim to that. It'll just, I think that would cause like a rift in the matrix. Everyone would just explode. Frank, if you're watching this and you just one day randomly find yourself exploding, know that it was because Philip crossed the timelines and made maple bread, causing a rift in the buddy time continuum. So as we're getting closer to the hour mark, I'd ask that you guys just do me a quick favor. If you're watching this and you enjoy these live streams, sometimes they're spicy, sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're just chill like today. Hit that like button. It helps a lot. It actually helps these get more visibility. And it'd be doing me a solid. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do is, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. And I'm going to finish this foot, and then we're going to play a trailer while I step up for a second. And our goal for this stream is hopefully before Artcasters, we can finish the flats for at least this one panel. And for those of you who are curious, Artcasters is at 8 p.m. Pacific today. Okay, so here is the trailer for Jacob's apartment. And I'll come when I come back. We're gonna comic some more and make it happen. So here's the trailer for Jacob's apartment. And if you haven't picked up this book, consider it. Okay. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right. I just realized I have slight hiccups, so that might be entertaining. So yeah, so the thing that's nice about bread, homemade bread, is as this bread maker is going, and Philip has mentioned this too, there is this amazing smell that starts to waft through the house. And it's like it's like a smell I almost wish they had like a candle scent for. It's just it's a really nice smell. It's very like home smell. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like home as a smell. If you can, yeah, it's like Bing Crosby. Like the smell, if it could sing, would be like a Bing Crosby, like that. Did you guys like my Crosby? I'm here all day, guys. We have I'm going to talk about fish now. Oh, I should mention where I'm at. Like just because I haven't been streaming these, do not think that I have stopped my Risk games, okay? I am still on the attempted path to become a grandmaster at Risk. So far I've just been stuck on like master. That's as far as I can get. And I've been trying and trying and trying every single morning. I play one game of it. I will achieve grandmaster. And I should probably get back to like streaming those games every once in a while because it's kind of funny, interesting content. But you guys can let me know. Let me know if you missed the Risk streams. If you missed the Risk streams, I'll consider bringing them back. What we're probably going to end up doing here is color holding the lines on the mirror so that it looks more like glass. And right now the lines themselves work fine, but like with the shading, I might, well, depending, we might color hold that shading within the mirror um, to kind of make that work. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Okay, we decided the trim is going to be this gold too. So right now, I think this floor trim might be that gold. And that should be good. But oh yeah, so I was going to talk about fish too. So anyhow, needless to say, on Risk right now, I'm just stuck at master level, and not very far on master. Like, you know, maybe at the very beginning of master. Because every time I get close, I kind of get bumped back to expert and then earn my way back to master. But grandmaster's not easy. Maybe for some it is, but it's a high ambition of mine. It's like in chess trying to be a grandmaster. But I will get there. I will get there, and when I do, you bet I'm going to gloat about it, and I'll have receipts. Okay. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so fish. So we have been going through this little fish adventure the last year or so, where we started with like a little 10-gallon tank. Well, actually, before that, we had a smaller tank, and it was just like a beta. And then we got kind of into the fish thing, and so we got like a 10-gallon tank. And then from there, you know, those fish were doing pretty well and getting much bigger, and so we got a bigger tank, like a 39-gallon. And there are some fish that we got that were like tiny. Like there's this one called a loach. It looks like an eel. It's a really interesting fish. It's like this pale, long fish, and it when you first get it, it looks like maybe the size of like a worm, like a small worm, not like an earthworm, like a like tiny little fish, right? That's it. It looks like a fish if you like stretched it out. Um, and I guess when you first get it, it's more like a fish, like if you pinched the fish at the top and the bottom, so it's still got like fins and all of that. Anyhow, so with this loach, it's like it started maybe like half an inch long, maybe a half an inch, and now our loach is easily about 10 inches, just like flopping around the tank, just being all crazy. And it's kind of weird to see these fish like grow from like you know, like a half an inch to like, you know, 10 inches. It's kind of nuts in like less than a year. So we have our giant loach. We have this ridiculous goldfish named Kubota, and he started as probably about a half an inch, just a little goldfish, and now he is this big, chubby, you know, maybe 6-inch goldfish who tried to eat all the other fish in the tank. So we put him in the 10-gallon tank because he's really funny. He's like my favorite of all the fish. Anybody who knows things about me and animals, you know, I like love pugs. I love hippos. I love manatees. I like really chubby animals. I think they're hilarious. And and like, so this goldfish is like hilarious. Like he's just bumping into things and goofy and looks all happy and silly and pointless, like in the best way. He's just a wonderful fish. But yeah, he was literally trying to like murder all the other fish in the tank. Like he was a fish that got big and then was like, ha ha, he got big ideas and was nefariously trying to kill all his brethren in the tank. So we had to move him to his own special Chubbo tank. And so there's that. That's been entertaining. But I have a feeling like with the path we're going down, I wouldn't be surprised if in like a year from now we have like an 80-gallon tank. Or like maybe we just convert our whole house into a fish tank and like you have to wear like scuba gear around the house. But I haven't gotten as far as like Corey got into it. Corey got hardcore into fish tanks. Like he had that thing, I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's like a pump that goes to like this trough of water at the bottom and like self cleans. And it's insanely complicated to like set up and maintain. But it's like the kind of rig you have to have if you're going to have a tank that has even partial salt water. And I think he ended up having like not full salt water, but like partial salt water for like specific kinds of fish. He could get more into more detail about that, but for us it's pretty cool. I've been really enjoying the tank. It's surprising how like nice it is, like if you sit down in a house to just like look over and see these like fish just kind of rocking, you know. There's something relaxing about it. There's also something really dramatic about it, you know, because it's like a little soap opera going on every day in that little tank. You never know what's going to happen, you know. Is one fish going to betray the others? You know, is one of them going to get really depressed? Like, you know, are some of the fish going to have an affair? Like, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with all these fish? Uh, like as the world turns, but just as the aquarium turns, you know, you never know. Like if we get a new fish, is that like the long lost cousin of another fish? Were there two fish like separated because they were from two warring houses? And we're going to accidentally adopt one and bring it there and revive the war between the houses and have like two Romeo and Juliet fish? Who knows, you know? It's really hard to know with fish. So I'm curious how this is going to work out. I feel like I missed a line here, but that might actually be better for legibility of this. I also think I want the doves to be white. And I think I'll add a tear to one of them, just like as a little shout out to Prince. You know? Why wouldn't you have a tear filled dove?
Someday you're like interviewed, they're like, where do you get your story ideas? Well, my fish tank.
A fish tank could be a really good inspiration for a story. I mean, that has to be where, like, I'd imagine that's probably where Finding Nemo came from. I would imagine, like, one of the animators maybe had a fish tank and was, like, thinking, what if?
Yes, Ben, you can bring your iPad. Okay.
Okay, we're getting there, guys. My reward for finishing this panel will be dinner. How's that sound? I do high stakes rewards, guys. This is how you get comics done. You say, I am not allowed to eat until I finish this page. Yeah, that's right. Go hard on your goals, guys. Okay. Now I want to do. We're getting closer. I want to do I think a brown for this mirror, but I want it to be like a dark brown, like maybe even a deeper brown than this. Maybe like a more, yeah. We'll kind of see. And if you guys are just tuning in, this is episode 310 of my live stream. We're hanging out, flat coloring. It's a chill stream today. Very low spice, if any, stream. This is more of a Kemble stream. The Kremble is hidden at bay for when the heat needs to come back. But yeah, we're just kind of chilling before Artcasters, which will be at 8 p.m. Pacific tonight. We're going to have Gaz Gretzky, a.k.a. Gazbot. And Gaz is going to talk about kaiju and all things kaiju, which should be a really good topic. I don't think we've ever done that topic on Artcasters, and I think it's a worthy topic because what is more fun to draw than kaiju? I think Philip will get a real kick out of that too, because I think Philip is a bit of a kaiju enthusiast. And if I think about our circle of friends and artists, Gaz instantly comes to mind when it comes to all things giant monsters and mechs and kaiju. And Philip was saying, yes. Nice. He also has a really cool comic that has kaiju in it. So it's kind of appropriate. He does art of a lot of classic kaiju, and his comic has mechs and kaiju. So how can you go wrong with that? Nice. Philip was saying, weirdly, I was thinking of starting a video series, Monster Monday, to draw a kaiju each week. Well, maybe this will give you inspiration to hear a dude that we know that's really into drawing kaiju and really good at it. Okay. I want this to be more orange, the beak. I probably should have just done the selection for all of these animals, but we're just going to kind of take it as it comes. Get through as much of this page as we can, as much of this first panel. And I will say, regardless of where I'm at on this first panel, I'd say by 7, I'm going to have to call it. So I have at least an hour between now and Artcasters. But we're, that gives us a good 50 minutes. Not 15, 50, which is pretty good. And we're just kind of going through. Right now I'm coloring this bird cage. And we're going to kind of get through this page. Monster Monday would be awesome, though. Maybe you could just draw a different monster every Monday. Some could be kaiju. Some of them could be like the Universal monsters. You could do the monster cereal monsters, of which if you did do that and didn't draw Frankenberry, I would be so disappointed. because Frankenberry is the best. It was kind of cool a couple years back. I guess it was quite a while ago when they re-released the Monster cereals. Because Frankenberry was one of those things I had as a kid that I never thought I'd have again. You know, because the only one that was like really around was the Count Chocula, but then they brought him back, the full slate, and that was a very exciting day. There might be millennials or younger generation people who don't realize that those were gone for a long time. Philip said, "I'll do a Frankenberry just for you, Josh." Nice. I like it. But I want to see the Philip Chandler spin on it, you know? If you guys aren't following Philip Chandler, you should be. He's a really talented artist. Does a live stream. Does live streams. Philip said, between doing it live or doing it pre-recorded video? Oh, trying to decide. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you do have the skills, you know, and the experience to do it live. Like, you know, I think that's one of the cool things, definitely from doing all that caricature art that you've done, you know, is that had to like get you pretty comfortable with doing art live, you know, because that is something like a lot of people don't realize is kind of like it takes a while to get used to doing that. I think the first struggle as an artist is getting comfortable with just drawing, but getting comfortable with drawing when people are watching is like, that can be a beast. I'm going to have to erase those lines. And I think we might go ahead and do that right now. Just erase this little spot where it shouldn't have over. Oh. Oh, okay. Hang on. I can't do it yet. I accidentally deselected that. So we'll do that after. So right now, I'm just deselecting the cage here. And then once we have the cage, we'll continue and do the rest of the flats for this page. All right. We'll have the dowel that they're kind of sitting on. Oh, I do that here. Dowel can be here. And we're getting through it. So yeah, I feel like we're going to get as much as we can, you know, by 7 at the latest on this panel. And then we'll see where we're at after that. I like the idea of, let's do the bird again here. And so we'll get his beak, his claws, all of that stuff. Kind of see how far we can get here. I would guess that, Paul, I'm guessing you're probably working on Detective Perez. That's what I would imagine. Actually, I kind of like the idea of having a, let's try, kind of like a greenish. That's pretty good for that dot. And now we can go with like a white. So yeah, I'm feeling good about the progress on this comic. It's funny, these things always take like a million times longer than I imagined, but I looked at the whole book in sequence the other day and I was like, this is going to be a really cool book. Um, and I like the fact that I haven't really skimped out on any of the panels because I feel like looking at it as a whole, it's much more impressive. There's not a lot of weak links. Sometimes you'll get comics, where you can tell the comic artist like went all out on a specific panel and then just kind of skimped like half the other pages. And it can kind of have this, weird feeling to it. So we're gonna have the magician have his own hat, but his hat's gonna be like opposite of Robert's a little bit. It'll be like darker with a light band, whereas Robert's is light with a dark band. Trying to kind of keep all the colors within the same family here. And then maybe we'll do the gloves, which I think will be white. They're on the chair. Nice. Paul said, I'm here, almost done with page 86. Awesome. And he said the overall look and vibe is really great. Thanks. Yeah, I'm giving it a shot, It's going to be interesting too, because this new pitch that I have to work on the script of whenever I'm done with this page, it's going to be a very different style. And I'm not sure what it's going to be more similar to until I kind of sit down and start kind of working it out. Philip said he's looking forward to seeing the Perez book that Paul is working on. I am too. I really enjoy that series. I've been somewhat reading it on Instagram, but then there's a part of me that doesn't read the whole thing because I kind of want to be surprised by the story. So I kind of like am semi familiar with it because I'll read like every other page and then be like, wait a minute, I want to wait till I can read the whole thing as a book. But everything I've seen so far is really cool. Which I know can be irritating to hear because I've posted process stuff and you want people to kind of follow along with it. I've had a few friends who are like, I can't do the spoilers till the end. I get that too. All right. Let's see here. We're gonna do this will be the most annoying pigeon to do. What I'm going to do here is actually just select the bigger path of the white of the pigeon, and then we'll go back and delete out the parts that are the wire mesh over it, so it goes a little quicker. I think that'll work quicker. We'll see. Rather than having to go in there by hand and kind of select everything. There's a couple little cleanups I'm going to have to do after this too. So let's go ahead and stick to the plan there. Do. Paul said thank you to Philip. And we're actually not that far away from finishing, which is kind of cool. The nice thing is, after that page of that crazy opera scene, I feel like everything feels a lot quicker and simpler after that. Even this page. It's like, at least I don't have to flat color a couple hundred people in a crowd. Paul said, my Instagram posts aren't to read along. I don't post them consistently enough, I don't think. Well, you could if you wanted to. And I think they're really nice because, and I do feel like you post pretty consistently on there. I'm guessing you probably do it for a similar reason, that I'll show like a little sneak preview of each page. There's a certain level of accountability that kind of comes along with that. Did I just pick the wrong? I deselected the wrong thing after that whole time. Ugh. Okay, let's try this again, but actually do it right this time. Okay, we're deselecting the. We'll just do it in chunks. Am I doing that wrong? Okay, I should be adding to the selection. My goodness. Okay, brain fart moment. Now I know what I'm doing. Okay, we're adding to the selection, not deselecting. I just started getting my own method backwards here, which would explain why there was some confusion with it. And now we should be good to go ahead and add it through here, add it through here, add it through here, add it through here, and 2 more of those, and then we should be good to go. Okay, now we're going to do the cage. Gary said hello all, popping in and out. Nice. Appreciate it, Gary. We're doing Artcasters tonight at like 8 p.m. with Gaz as a special guest, just so you know. And it'll be on my channel at 8 p.m. Pacific. So right now what I'm doing is just blasting through, having a chill stream. Today I am not triggering a bunch of people on politics. I'm just chilling, doing a stream. Gary said, I'll try to be there. Nice. If you're not there, you might become square. That's what I hear. That's what the word on the street is, Gary. That if you are not there, you might be square. So, okay, Gary Hodges of Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots fame. You guys should definitely check out D versus M. 1979 is really good. And no, when I say 1979, I don't mean the Smashing Pumpkins song. Okay, this one is kind of bunched here. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just going to go ahead and do these wires. They're going up and down first. Gary said the Smashing Pumpkins song is also worthwhile. Yeah, you know, the Pumpkins are like really interesting. I do enjoy some of the Smashing Pumpkins. I have to admit, there's some songs that don't hold up as well as I used to think they did. But there are some songs like that one in particular that I think still hold up. But it's funny, like there was a point in time where I thought Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness was like one of the best albums ever. And as I've gotten older, I've started realizing like it's a good album, but it's not quite as good as I was thinking it was at the time. What's up?
Sorry, your bread maker made a little beeping sound. I think it's done. Do I need to do anything?
Nope.
Just leave it? Okay.
Yep. Unplug it if it's off though. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna put on the hold on a sec. So I'm gonna put on the trailer for Jacob's apartment so that I can go check on the bread. The bread. Okay, I'll be right back. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, I'm back. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about the pumpkins. The bread looks like it came out okay. I'm going to finish the flat colors on this page and then I'll go cut the bread and have dinner. But it looked pretty good. So we have a lot of really interesting stuff happening here. Paul said, I just posted page 86. I just post them as I complete them. Get a little attention, I guess. Not sure why, really. Mostly because Jim said to. I think Jim's right about that. I do the same. I do these little sneak peeks of panels as I'm doing them. And I think it does build interest in the final project. to kind of show people, let them be along the path as you're making something. I'm actually really thankful that this publisher is okay with me doing this. That's one thing, if you have a publisher you want to specify that they're okay with, is like sharing, because some publishers are really old school about it and want to keep everything under wraps till the book is out. But I tend to be a big believer in transparency, being fun, because like people who want to see under the hood can watch, and people who don't cannot. And yeah, I think it suits like multiple purposes. The other thing is, it's just like functional. Like right now, if I weren't live streaming while doing this, like I'm going to be at the computer anyway, So I might as well try to like make some content, Yesterday, it's the funniest thing too. Like people who don't like me getting political on content, I don't know if they realize it's like I think it was yesterday that I did that long political stream where we went over the entire third Trump indictment, and I don't know if they realize like I'm actually getting work done while I'm doing that criticism of Trump. like there's a lot of people who might have been furiously typing in the chats, like, and meanwhile I was getting work done, and occasionally like talking to chat and stuff like that. But and I've been on the other end of that too, where I've listened in on a stream and like typed in the chats while I'm drawing, and it's like fun. It just, I don't know, it seems like a really like a no-brainer to do that, because it's a lot of fun. And this otherwise would be like an excruciating process to do flat colors like alone. The only thing that I do say, like, sometimes I get in the mood, like I didn't stream for a couple days when I was working on some of this, because I was just enjoying listening to other streams, and so there is that where it's like I do enjoy actually being able to like listen to stuff while I work. Paul said I was rage listening to you. Nice. Well, I was full of rage too. Like, that, like I've read through that indictment before, and like the first time it made me really mad that he got away with like all this crap, and that there's a high likelihood he might still get away with it. It's like reading about the Joker just getting away with it, and there's no Batman to stop him. It's like, come on, there's got to be somebody who's going to stop him. But to listen to it on stream was fun, because at least I got to like do something about it, say something about it. Otherwise, I feel like I'd just bottled it up and at some point just explode, Let's see here. But yeah, it was I will admit, I did my due diligence and read through it, because I feel like it's probably one of the most important trials that's ever going to happen in our country, and the consequences of it are huge. And so it's like, I felt like an obligation to like make sure I'm tuned in to like know what's happening, because I feel like you need to be an informed citizen. But yeah, doing it again, like after doing the whole thing, and it's very nicely laid out, where you're like, okay, like a lot of that stuff I knew happened. It's almost like the Mueller report, where a lot of that information you already kind of knew, but just having it all laid out there is like both refreshing because it like clarifies the timeline, but it's also disturbing because it like lays out everything, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is just, how did he get away with this nonsense? And it's the same kind of thing that I get from that. So it's a mix, it's kind of cathartic to go over it on stream. And I think important for people, especially people who are like still supporting the dude, but like important, but still, that was not an easy thing to go through again. So hopefully it was entertaining. So I was partially doing it for your entertainment. Because while I got work done, it was not as fun as like just listening to a podcast and working would have been. Although it was fun because of the interaction with the chat, that made it fun. Okay, floor color is going to be the same, and we're getting closer. We might actually finish this by 7, guys. Don't let me speak too soon, but that's the goal here. I now have 2 incentives to finish coloring this panel because I have freshly baked. I have trouble saying that. Freshly baked bread, freshly baked bread waiting, and I also have dinner waiting, and so that is good incentive for me to finish up the flat colors for this panel. Because if I don't, then I'm gonna have to just go straight into Artcasters. And I try to bring some energy to these things for you guys. I don't want to be all burnt out on Artcasters. I got to try to match the energy that Gaz inevitably will bring. Because I will tell you guys, if you're not familiar with Gaz, he is one of the most energetic guests we've ever had on Artcasters. He is an incredibly entertaining guy, and he's just fun to listen to. Like, I really like his YouTube channel too. Especially I like his vlogs where he'll just kind of go through his day and stuff like that. I think he's a very entertaining and fun guy, like, you know. And by that I don't mean a mushroom, I mean like he's actually a fun guy. I'm here all day, guys. I know, I made the fun guy joke. Okay, we just have to do this like box of goodies, this like blanket on the floor thing. And I think we're close to like complete on this, which is really exciting. I just need to remember where this deselected from. I think that'll do it. Did we get it? We did. Okay, we have to. Let's start with like some basic stuff. Like, I think this will be. But I appreciated you being there, Philip, because yeah, it would be hard to do a stream like that if like everybody in the chat was just like triggered, like right leaning people who were all pissed off. That would have been tough. So I appreciate having you there to kind of have my back a little bit. Let's see here. So we have Gary said, I saw afterward your triggered viewer. Oh, did they do a video? I had a lot of it's funny, like that video got quite a few downvotes. A lot of dislikes. And again, it's funny because oh, okay. Gary just said their comments in your live chat. Yeah. It's like the thing that annoys me about it is the few times I've really triggered somebody in my audience. Gary said, I hope you cried it out and went to bed. And then Paul said you couldn't change their mind in a million years. Yeah, it's kind of like a futile attempt, but you got to keep trying. The again, like I said at the top, like one of the things that bums me out about that is that viewer in particular. I know they get super political on their stuff. Like that's the thing that annoys me. I know they buy super political comments. They make political insinuations like almost every 5 sentences. And I watch their stuff. Like I still find it entertaining. And it's like funny to me that like a person like that is getting all riled up about like how dare you get political. Like it just cracks me up. And I noticed that with the other person who another political stream ago got all triggered and worked up about it. That's like, I think anybody in our community knows both those people get real political all the time. So the idea that they're like clutching their pearls over political talk is just hilarious to me. Because again, it's like, dude, there's no one who's familiar with either of those people who's going to be like, oh my gosh, they're just so apolitical. I can't believe. It's one of those like pot calling the kettle black kind of things where it's like you literally do the same exact thing all the time and then get all worked up and triggered when somebody else says something different. Let's see here. But it's like that weird thing where like there's the myth. This is where again, this is a non-spicy stream somewhat, but there's a myth of a silent majority. Okay, they're not silent. They pretend they're silent. They're the loudest people in the room, and then they get all pissed off when anybody else shares their opinion. It's they're not any different than like the people on the left they criticize that I would criticize as well, right? Like who are like super fragile and you know can't handle critique or discussions with people who disagree with them. Paul said, "Gonna sign off. Hope to catch you on Artcasters." And then he said, "Thanks for streaming, guy." Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Have a good one. I'll see you on Artcasters. Make sure you're there for Gaz. He's awesome. I think it'll be cool because I don't know if Philip's familiar with Gaz yet, and it will be fun. Can introduce you guys. If you love kaiju, then you will love. I mean, Gary can attest to this. Like, if you're into kaiju and you haven't seen Gaz's work, you should see Gaz's work because he's like the kaiju guy. The gaiju. Wait, that sounds really bad. Never mind. He's the he's the guy who makes kaiju. That sounded really bad when it came out. Okay. What else do we have here? Have a good one, Paul. Though I'm looking forward to the Detective Perez. You know what I'm saying? We're going to, at this point, just do like gold trim here. I want this to be gold. Everything will be gold. I'm Midas. I will make it all gold. That's such a weird story, you know? You know what's weird about that though? Like, I feel like would people be such fans of Trump if they had read The Midas Touch when they were kids and The Emperor's New Clothes? Some of these just like old school fables, you know? I mean, the guy literally has like a gold lined like everything. He's got like gold toilets and stuff. And it's like people have bought into this scam that there's this guy with like gold toilets that really cares about the poor. I don't know. What's happened here. Anyhow, whatever. We're not doing spicy streams. Okay. No spice today. Gotta stay away from it. Okay, so I like that as a brown for this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that works because it's kind of going to be set in the background. I want to do the cards here. We might color hold some of the details on the cards too. But for now, I think just painting the cards would be good. Painting the cards red. And maybe like a red for like an indication of the suit cards. in a second. We'll do that. You guys, we might make good time on this. I might actually be able to eat some bread in a second. I feel like a slave today, where I'm like working and it's like, no bread until you finish your duties. And my wife said, haha, you said duty. You can see why we're married. We come from a similar place of great maturity. Okay, here we go. Okay, we got some chains here. By the way, if you guys are fans of the Pixies, there's a song called Hey that has chains in the lyrics, and it's a really good song. It's one of my favorite Pixies songs. And I need to look and see if I can actually learn the chords for that song. That would be fun. That would be a fun one to know how to cover. Okay, so we have I think the rest of these details are just going to be white in here. If that's not overkill. Like a scroll and some cards, some other junk. And then we're going to have the trunk. I said junk and trunk. Here all day, guys. Okay. I think here maybe we'll have it be equally like the same brown as the chair to keep the consistency. And then here we'll have the Bosco poster match the poster at the front. So I have to open that up, that file with the front. I think it was 78. 78. We'll open that up. Go ahead and turn off all our extras on this. And let's find those colors. Have it kind of match. So we have like a theme. Kind of like the idea of, okay, so we'll have the blue be his jacket and stuff like that. And the lettering. I'm going to have the blue be the lettering and his jacket. And look at that. We have about 15 minutes left to finish this portion of the flats, which was the goal. That was the goal, ladies and gents. So as we're getting closer to finishing up the stream, I ask that you guys hit that like button if you can. That goes a long way to help this channel find more people. And for more people to find this channel, which in turn helps more people find our community. So click that like button. It's at no cost to you, and it keeps me in the algorithm. If you haven't yet, too, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit that bell so you get notifications when this goes live. If you're watching this on Twitch, I have barely any followers on Twitch, so if you want to give this a follow, that would be greatly appreciated. And make sure you're subscribed and you've got the bell because then you'll get notification when we're about to go live at 8 p.m. Pacific tonight for Artcasters, where we're going to have special guest Gazbot talk about kaiju and why kaiju is awesome. So if you guys are into giant monsters, mechs, if you're into Power Rangers, if you're into Ultraman, it should be the episode right up your alley. If you're not familiar, maybe it'll get you into those things. Let's see here. Okay, we're gonna look at that cover again. Okay, this is gonna be blue 2. Blue 2. And then we're gonna have this be white. The white areas. That can be here. Do. And we are getting awfully close to done here, which will keep us right on schedule. Because hopefully that means that during Artcasters, I might be able to finish up or get a much further on these thumbs. Okay. One other thing. Bosco has kind of more of this color on the poster. So there's this. Oh, and I just realized there's a vest here. So we're going to have to kind of work that in too. But we'll kind of deselect his hair. Getting very close to done on this. Kind of a good sign when all you have left are the flats for a poster in the room. Very excited because I can go check on the bread and have some dinner, which should be nice because all work and no play, that doesn't tend to turn out too well. Okay. All right. We're going to do this for the skin tone. It's kind of more neon-y because it's an illustration within an illustration. And then I accidentally deselected something that I didn't mean to. Then we will fill in the blanks in a second of all the other stuff. Okay, now we'll do our orange background. Just so it feels like it was made by the same poster maker that's on the front, even though it's a slightly different poster. They're kind of going with a similar color scheme. And this will be blue. And then I can just darken the that a little bit. And we can call it, once we make the areas, the panels we haven't finished, we're going to make magenta. And let's see what that looks like with the shading. Okay, well, you look at that. I think we're done with panel 1. All right, guys. Jake said, I thought Spice was going to bring the viewer flow. It did. Last stream was way more. The spice definitely worked a little better. This is a low spice stream, so that makes sense. All right, guys, have a good night, and I will see you at 8 p.m. And I look forward to kind of hearing from you guys when we talk on Artcasters with special guest Gazbot. And I'll see you guys then. Jake, thanks for tuning in too. And I'll see you guys tonight. Have a good one. Bye.